Yeah, Christine, we're still trying to get information on what exactly happened there in that bus in downtown Tel Aviv. We do know that it was on a road that is in central Tel Aviv, and as you said, there have been casualties. There are at least 10 people who were injured. The earliest reports that we're getting, and this is from various Israeli media outlets, is that 3 people were moderately to more severely wounded, and 7 people were more lightly injured. And we also know, as you said, that they are being tended to. They're on the scene. However, there appears to be the fear that there might be secondary explosions, that someone might have detonated or deposited some other form of explosive in the area. So that is certainly something that is being checked out there by bomb disposal and by EOD squads as well. But there are scenes there of people being treated on the sidewalks, people being tended to by ambulances that are on the scene. That is ongoing, of course. The entire area there is cordoned off, and if you look at the bus from the live pictures that we're getting, you can see that the windows, at least some of them, have been blown out. The front window is badly damaged, so you can see that there must have been a terrible scene inside that bus when those explosives went off. It's not entirely clear what sort of explosive this off, whether this was some sort of suicide bomb or whether it was a bomb that was deposited. We are still waiting for that information to come through. It's still very early in the game, but certainly this is something that really changes a lot here on the ground. There have been people here in Israel who have been very fearful of possible attacks on buses, on civilian infrastructure. Of course, Tel Aviv has been fairly calm, however, has also had to deal with rocket attacks as well. There was a rocket that hit the outskirts of Tel Aviv just yesterday that caused severe damage there to a civilian house. But now it appears as though a new level there as a bus attacked with an explosive device. Christine.
And Fred, you've got a night again of more violence and escalating tension. All these talks of a ceasefire and getting close, but it just isn't happening yet. What are people telling you about, I guess, just about the fear now with a bus attack? You know, what does this do for talks and hopes of a ceasefire in Israel?
Well, it certainly makes it a lot more difficult, I would assume. And I can tell you from people on the ground here in Ashkelon, this is a town that gets hit by rockets all the time. I wanted to actually show you what's behind me, because these are some of the rockets that have been fired here on this town. These are Qassam rockets. These are some that are actually made in the Gaza Strip. They're sort of a more homemade weapon. This one, however, down here is a Grad rocket. This is a military rocket that is produced, for instance, in China, in Iran. You can see it has sort of tail fins that come out on these springs. Of course, these people are very fearful of that, and many people have told us, quite frankly, they are not in favor of a ceasefire or a possible truce at this point of time. They don't feel that their military has done the job yet. They fear that if a ceasefire goes into effect, they'll have to deal with stuff like this in the coming weeks, in the coming months, and possibly need another military campaign. There have been sort of smaller protests against a possible ceasefire already, and people are just telling us they feel that more needs to be done. They don't want the truce to happen. That is not everybody's opinion. There's a lot of people who just want the situation here to end, who want peace and quiet, who want the rocket attacks here to end. And I can tell you from earlier today, we've already had to go into shelters 6 times just this morning here in Ashkelon because of rocket attacks. Most of those were picked off by a missile defense system. Some of them, however, also hit the ground. Christine.